Alright, welcome to today's YouTube video, and in this video, this is going to be part 2 of my series Programming With Me, where I program, essentially, my client Seagan packets meat prep into USAPL Midwest Regionals. So, in this video, it's going to just be an extension of the last one. A little bit shorter, a little bit more easily digestible, but we just discussed where we're at in the macro cycle, some of the pacing plans in regards to kind of getting to meet day, the numbers we think we're going to be hitting, how we're going to periodize, some of the top set rep ranges down, and kind of what some of my longer term plans are going into next block, as well as just some projections of where I think we're going to be pacing for on meet day. And then I cover some of the programming changes I made, more specifically some of the more nuanced stuff within the block itself. So if you enjoy this video, please drop a like, leave a comment, and let me know, and I will go ahead and make part 3 next month, and also finish up with an attempt selection video as well to end off the series leading into Midwest Regionals.
All right, so next block here for Seagan. Now I want to touch base on where we're at in the macro or the meat prep and schedule. So, and then I'll kind of cover last block a little bit. We're not done with last block, but I'll cover it. And then we'll get into actually writing stuff because I've kind of gotten started on that. So going to do a little bit more cuts than normal here and kind of make this video a little bit shorter, a little bit easier digestible as well. So where we're at right now is we are wrapping up the final week of the block that we wrote in the last video, right? So so far, we've gotten through the primary deadlift. Wrong one. We've gotten through primary deadlift. All-time PR 266. Now, he actually went over the range here. This was not originally on our plan. So we will adjust kind of the original game plan we had, because we were originally going to hit something like this, more so block 2. I was planning on hitting about this block 2. So we kind of need to adjust our plan slightly, but we should be good. But yeah, this was actually over his range, but it should work out fine. Just, I already let him know not to do that. Squat went well too. Top triple at RP 8, about an 8.5, but 270 for 3. So PR triple there, which is massive. We're still waiting to see bench. He'll be hitting bench press today. But otherwise, so far, really, really good block. I want to go through some of the changes I'm making this block. There's nothing crazy. So a couple big ones is deadlift's going to stay the same because deadlift is just going fantastic right now. The secondary bench day, I dropped this down to triples, so we'll start periodizing that down. That'll likely just stay triples till the meet. We might go doubles here. We've had a lot of success in the past, and I think I have I have it planned to go doubles, so we'll see. I've had a lot of success pushing the lower rep peak intensity on this session, but everything else is going to stay the same. This session, down to doubles from triples, so I'm starting to periodize that down. This will stay doubles the whole way to the meet. And then the primary day is a single and a top set of 5. So instead of a double and a top set of 5, it's now a single. So pretty straightforward there. Otherwise, some rep ranges and stuff on the accessory movements are dialed back. With the squat, like I said, or with the deadlift, like I said, no changes there. And then with squat, we were running a top triple. Now we're going to run a top double, and we're going to run triple, double, single straight into the meet, right? And then back downs. Nothing new there, I believe. Yep, same structure there. I'm going to try something, and I may change my mind as we go, but we've been doing ascending work on this day, and I think I want to try making it just a top set and seeing how that goes, because that'll bring the average intensity down just a hair, potentially. Let me see here. Yeah, this change will bring the average intensity down just a hair, because we're not quite jumping 8%. It's probably 6% from set 1 to set 2. So I think I want to try this. Give him a top pause double. He'll probably be able to perform a little better. Again, not kind of come in his fatigue. Because the one thing we were seeing is this session, things were starting to really just slow down by the end, by week 3 on that top set, because probably just intra-session fatigue, and then the average intensity just being a little higher on this day. So by the time he gets that top set, he's starting to feel a little bit beat, and I kind of want to let it perform a little better, but then pulling this set back a little more than if it was an ascending set, essentially, should allow just better recovery. Because like I said, yes, we ended with a PR, but this primary day was just sometimes moving a little sluggish, and I want to promote a little bit more recovery kind of going into this primary squat session. So we might try that. I may change my mind as we go, but I think that's going to be the plan for now. Otherwise, I'm going to leave everything else the same. So those are the changes I made to the micro cycle, just the weekly structure. So I'm going to go ahead, paste everything across, get everything structured to actually be able to start writing ranges, and then I'll just go lift by lift and cut in and explain everything. Okay, got deadlifts in. I made one change. I dropped this set of 4 to triples just because I'm going to keep his training max on deadlift the same. And I want to I don't want to give him the exact same thing, basically. Just from an enjoyment standpoint, I want him to feel like the load on the bar is getting heavier. So to do that, I just dropped this to a triple, which allows the weight to be a little heavier. So I adjusted percentages for that as well. And yeah, should be good there. That'll allow that weight to just finish a little heavier, like 5 kilos, I think it was roughly. Yeah, like 5 kilos heavier for a triple. For our block pacing, I just bumped weeks 1 through 3 up by 2.5 kilos. And then, because again, pacing is working. Like the load jumps we're taking is working. It ended in an all-time PR last block. So we're going to see how it goes. And then if things are looking like 267 there, probably let him take 267, which would be a 1 kilo PR, just slightly more than last block, or just match somewhere in there. But I'm going to give him just a little heavier weeks 1 through 3. And then likely next block, we'll really give our big push. We'll probably try to pull 270 to end the block, which is about where the original plan was. And I'll bump everything else up, probably another 2.5 kilos. So basically same thing as we did last block. It worked really well. And we're going to try this again, essentially. Secondary session, no change there. Just a 3x1 all the way across with no adjustments made. Loading will stay the same. So deadlift was fantastic. Definitely the lift that's probably going the best for us right now. So no need to really make any changes. One thing I want to show before I get in the squat. This was the deadlift PR that he hit. All-time PR. Pretty smooth, right? He's probably got another, based on this, if this is a meet, 5 to 7 probably minimum, I'd say. I think 7's probably like a kind of a middle ground jump I would take to like a third if that was a second. So keeping that in mind, knowing where we're going to try to go next block, just adding a little bit to that is probably going to be the game plan. Get us a little closer to that, I guess, true RP 10, if you will. But anyways, on to squat. All right, I got squat programmed in here. I'm also going to show his PR triple. So this is 270 kilos, all-time PR for 3. So PR triple. Very good, very smooth. Good depth too. So this one got tough. Seagan's going to definitely be someone who's better at lower rep sets. So we're going to see like disproportionate improvement. As the reps come down. So like if we look at like rep 1 and then we look at rep 2, knowing we have a double next block, I think there's 7 kilos on this. His PR double is 275, so we're going to plan for 277 for his double. And then we work backwards. Now, a change I did make to squat this block, kind of going hand in hand with the fact that we're not going to do ascending sets on this day, is I want to kind of have these jumps end up a little bit more the week-to-week jumps on the back down sets to be a little more conservative compared to the top set. So I think sometimes an issue we can run into, and why I commonly like to prescribe percentages for back downs, why we've been doing that on his lighter sets and why we're going to start doing it on that middle back down set as well, is if you base everything off a percent drop from the top set and you jump 12 kilos a week, all the back downs are going to jump 12 kilos as well. But then if you use percentages, you can make the back downs, say, jump 5 kilos a week or 7 kilos a week, a little bit smaller jumps week to week, and then let the top set kind of progress. So I'll commonly do that with people who are just, 1, absolute strength is really high, or 2, just need to take big jumps within their training. So someone like Seagan, squatting in the high 200 kilos, and, really finishing top sets, he needs to start the block in the low 200 kilos, like 235, and he needs to finish 270 plus. There's big jumps week to week, and I don't want all the backdowns to progress that same way too. That's why we've had these backdowns be percentage based for so long, but we're going to do that on this day as well. So a bit more changes coming, but I think it's going to allow him just to feel a little bit more recovered, and have that squat having a little more pop compared to normal. He's, again, like I say, he's not someone who needs to be stimulated to perform really, really well. He just needs to just be recovered and just enough workload on that secondary day. Secondary session is going to be doubles. I'm going to push the loading. I basically just took the same jumps as last block, added 5 kilos because it's from triples to doubles. But there's no more ascending sets either. So these honestly should move really, really well. So we'll plan that for now on his squat. Again, I may change my mind before things get started and make these ascending sets, but I think for now, I'm going to leave everything be the way it is. All right, and then for bench press, like I said, no big changes here. We got a top triple on this or secondary session. We're going to pace that 145, 150, 157, 165. Basically, his best double on this day is 170. His best set of 4 is 160. So we're just split in the middle, right? We'll take 165, and then if we move this doubles next block, we will go 170 on this day and match that best double, first secondary session double. Because, yeah, he's aiming actually for 175 for 2 today, actually. So on the primary, obviously. Middle session, ascending doubles, just gave him an extra 2.5 kilos. Next block, I'll probably give him another 2.5 kilos. Yeah, 2.5 kilos over what he was doing for triples last block. So should be moving smooth, which is what we want this day to be. And then his primary session, going to try to match his best single. His best single is 182.5. So I'm setting him up for that. It would be a pretty big jump from week 3 to 4, but we've seen with him, the big jumps don't phase him on bench. He doesn't need to hit 180 or 177 or 175 to kind of feel good for 182.5 plus. He can take big jumps on even bench press. And you'll see that like on his primary day, he goes 157, then he jumps 7 kilos, then he jumps 7 kilos, then he jumps 10 kilos. So we're likely going to look to take 182.5, match his all-time best. And then next block, look to take 185 and kind of exceed that all-time best or potentially more, whatever we deem is there. I left this to be determined because if everything is good and the stars align, I would not be opposed to jumping to 175 this week and then 185 this week and pushing that bench single a little more. This also needs to be a single. So that is the game plan for bench press. Otherwise, nothing is really going to change on the accessory front. What I'll likely do next block is dial back some of the intensity on some of the less specific accessories and even some of the, potentially by a little bit on the more specific accessories. So something like his chest supported row and lat pull down, those may come down a little bit in intensity next block just to kind of save a little juice for the main lifts for that final block of prep. And then we may even dial back something like, instead of pushing his hamstring curl to RP9, maybe we just push to RP8 or, his dumbbell press on secondary day. We leave all 3 sets, but instead of going to RP9 here, maybe we go RP8 or maybe we get rid of the AMRAP and do 2 sets RP7 or 8 or whatever. So that is the way I have everything structured. Obviously a much quicker video here. Now, I need to get these put in, so I'll do that after. But next block will be the final block of prep, so I'll run through that in the next video, and then I'll probably do a whole video on his taper and attempt selections because I think this could be its own video just because tapering is very, can be complex and very individual to the client and may take a little bit to kind of run through and then attempt sheet and everything. So I'll probably just put that in one video. So yeah, hopefully you enjoyed. Thank you for watching and stay tuned for next video next month.